frigates in low atmosphere.
They're like destructive Jehovah Witnesses
across the battlefield.
They're doing missionary work,
are dealing with,
space missionary work.
Fucking awesome. They can literally.
Yo, what's going on, you guys? This is your boy RBG, aka the Random Black Gamer, here with me, myself, and I on the ones and twos, and this is WeAINTseenIT Reactions, the place where I react to everything I've never seen. And today we're jumping into that gaming territory once again for some more Warhammer reactions, man. Last time we had a phenomenal turnout, man. It hasn't really hit that threshold yet. You know, I'm still waiting for it to hit that 1K. 1,000 likes, but it was a great reaction because I got a lot of feedback from you guys just trying to explain everything in greater detail, because I had a lot of questions pertaining to the Astartes cutscenes that I watched, or the multi-part mini-series, if you want to call it that. There was apparently, you know, had like a lot of corporate pushback, and it was kind of like join us or get your shit banned out of existence. I thought that was just one of those things where we had this unsung hero who was able to get a triumphant moment by joining the actual developers who created this franchise and have them, you know, utilize his talents. But no, it was because Games Workshop, apparently they like to have control over everything, and they don't really listen to a lot of fan feedback. So it's a bit unfortunate, man. But yeah, I just thought it would be kind of conducive if I kind of delve more into these things in greater detail by one of the guys who's actually been ingrained in it for quite some time, who is a diehard fan, and that is this guy named Bricky, who has been doing all these different essays on the world of Warhammer 40k. I almost said World of Warcraft. It's like you can't help but say that after you follow the word world. But yeah, the world of Warhammer 40k, man, because you guys have heard me say this world seems like it's very vast, you know, and it has different moving parts stemming from the tabletop war game aspect, which is expanded into different forms of media. So yeah, I want to know more about these so-called Space Marines, you know, because I originally assumed that they were all clones because they seemed like they were just working in tandem with each other too perfectly. But no, apparently they're all individuals that have these, they've been genetically enhanced to take on all these different duties. They are basically killing machines. I really love the detail on the CGI for that. Like the actual, the animator, they did a phenomenal job with that. I don't think people realize, like, just because something looks solid up in a cinematic doesn't mean that it's gonna move that way. Like, for example, like when I watch some of the characters in their armor, you know, seeing all those different individual pieces just move as such without any kind of clipping, that had to be very difficult to do. So kudos to the animator, man. I really hope that Games Workshop is treating them fairly, man. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and jump into this, man. It's going to be every single Warhammer 40k faction explained. So without further ado, let's go ahead and see what Bricky has to say, man, because I want to know.
As someone who doesn't necessarily serve the Omnissiah, but someone who can appreciate them, you will not be getting my legs today, as I will be replacing them with various things depending on which faction we are currently talking about.
Game over!
Context and possible comedy to whatever the hell I am currently doing.
All right.
Hello everybody, my name is Bricky, and this is going to be a long video and a large project that has been going on for quite some time. This is, I need two hands for this. This is every single Warhammer 40k race in kind of a nutshell, explained, a little bit of explanation, a little bit of lore, a little bit of talking about the tabletop, but mostly lore, what they're all about, and also a little bit of background for those of you who just have no clue what Warhammer 40,000
I haven't the slightest clue.
Warhammer and Warhammer 40,000 is a universe people hear plenty of, but don't know a whole lot about.
That guy's like, he's been through some things.
These dudes in big power armor with chainsaw swords, and they got these big old green orcs, and there's some bugs over there, and everyone calls these guys weebs.
It's almost like Space Warcraft meets Gears of War.
I don't get it. I don't understand. Where do I start? Well, this
Please
video
tell me.
is particularly for you, or for those of you who have a little bit of knowledge, but you're kind of curious about each of the different races and factions in Warhammer. So overall, the Warhammer universe is vast when it comes to lore and background, and each different faction is so different with the things that they believe in, and some are human, some are transhuman, like where they all have all these crazy ass electronics on
Got the
them.
Machine Empire edition. What is that, fucking Mondo?
And there's so much to entail.
King Mondo?
I decided to embark on this project to tell you what each and every single one of them is about, and what the Warhammer universe is about as well, to give at least a little bit of an intro to this extremely bloated but very, very enjoyable world that I and many others partake in. So
let's go, man. Let me make sure I set my audio correctly, because I don't think I have it up all the way.
I will be explaining every single faction in the Warhammer 40k universe, at least all the factions you can play as, and some smaller factions here and there. I will not be discussing absolutely everything in it, because that is a little bit much, and I'm not going to go too mega deep into the lore. I'm going to give you a pretty solid overview of each of the different factions and have you learn a little bit about them, and we'll discuss a little bit of the tabletop as well, in case you are curious about that.
I am.
In this episode entirely, we are discussing the Imperium of Man.
Imperium!
That takes up a fat chunk of Warhammer lore.
Extra thick. My 600-pound life thick.
Warhammer 40,000. Well, the 40,000 starts off is the year 40,000, the 41st millennium. That's where it takes place, is in the year 40,000, 41,000 AD. You're already more knowledgeable.
Hell
Let
yeah.
me read you a quote. First
Hell
of
yeah.
many quotes in this video. It is the 41st millennium. For more than 100 years, the Emperor has sat immobile on the golden throne of Earth. He is the master of mankind by the will of the gods, and master of 1,000,000 worlds by the might of his inexhaustible armies. He is a rotting carcass, rising invisibly with power from the dark age of technology. He is the carrion lord of the Imperium, for whom 1,000 souls are sacrificed every day, so that he may never truly die.
So is he getting held against his will?
In such times is to be amongst untold billions. It is
Wow.
to live in the cruelest and most bloody regime imaginable. These are the tales of those times. Forget the power of technology and science, for so much has been forgotten, never to be relearned. Forget the promise of progress and understanding, for in the grim, dark future, there is only war. There is no peace amongst the stars, only an eternity of carnage and slaughter, and the laughter of thirsting gods.
My goodness.
Everything blows. And it blows fucking hard.
That is
Warhammer
fucked
is
up.
probably the most dark and depressing universes ever.
Even darker than
At
Berserk?
least like top 3. Everything is so absurdly horrible, destructive, or overpowered that it all kind of ends up canceling itself out. It's like Dota. War rages across the galaxy. Interstellar travel is only possible due to sacrificing 1,000 souls a day to a rotting carcass of a man who you believe to be your god.
So this guy basically has fell magic.
Demons
He just
tear open
sacrifices
the fabric
everybody.
of reality on a whim. Other Xenos or even other humans end up killing each other in untold billions across the galaxy. It is a time of unending war, slaughter, and a bloodbath amongst everybody. Planets are deemed unrecoverable and are completely destroyed on a whim.
Boy.
Everything sucks. But that's like the charm of it.
Yeah.
Everything in Warhammer is evil. But being evil is kind of fun. Like, humanity, in its own right, is a xenophobic, prejudice, and religious zealot group that kill each other just as much as they kill all of their enemies.
We're hypocrites. I gotta admit.
Mid to high tier evil on the evil scale of Warhammer. Nobody is good. No matter who you are, everyone is some flavor, some color of evil.
It's like we're picking the lesser of 1,000 evils.
You are going to be the bad guy. But that's the fun of it.
Yeah.
Because being the bad guy is badass.
It is.
Villains are cool. They look cool, they got cool outfits, they got cool weapons, they got cool armies. Villains are cool, man. And when everyone is a villain, everyone is pretty cool. That's what makes this so charming, is that everyone can be the bad guy. So let's start off talking about the main bad guy, quote unquote, the Imperium of Man.
Imperium of Man.
The Imperium of Man is the main empire of the human race. All of humanity is under this one flag called the Imperium. And about 10,000 years ago, there was a man. He was the Emperor of mankind, a 10-foot tall psychic demigod who led humanity across the stars to colonize tons and tons of worlds, create superhuman soldiers, and really bring humanity into a new age.
Looks like a part-time stripper, and he does hair.
Was a psyker. And a psyker is
psyker,
like a
yeah.
magician
I've heard of
sorts.
those guys.
In the world of 40k, there is the warp, the immaterium, kind of like hell, but sort of like a purgatory dimension of hell. And a psyker is someone who can take that power and manifest it through their mind to use it to do stuff, like witchcraft.
That is so badass.
Stuff, spells, and lots of other things, but we don't want to get too into that. The Emperor, big boy psyker, top tier, A+, maybe even S. Now, the Emperor created a bunch of sons. Yes, created a bunch of sons known as the Primarchs. He created 18 Primarchs to have them lead all of the different legions of humanity to the different stars and planets to help.
Why does it look like I'm looking at an Image comic book panel?
Primarchs are basically like little versions of the Emperor. Not all of them are psychers, but a lot of them are very, very powerful, and they lead his special Space Marine legions.
Wow.
Then this big clusterfuck happened called the Horus Heresy, where the Emperor's favorite son, the Primarch, Horus, ended up joining Chaos and leading 9 of the 18, half of his Primarchs directly to Earth to fight down the Emperor himself. Now, if you want to know what Chaos is, remember what I mentioned earlier, the warp, that immaterium, the hellish place? In there relies the 4 chaos gods. Imagine like Satan and 3 other Satans. The warp being kind of evil, those chaos gods, that's the reason.
Yeah.
And so those chaos gods manipulate.
So they were influenced,
Horus,
yeah.
And then Horus helped manipulate all 8 other Primarchs to lead this giant coup directly on the Emperor on Earth. And they fucked up shit.
Wow.
After this huge civil war, Horus died, but not before brutally wounding the Emperor. And right at the end of his life, they put the Emperor on this large golden throne on Earth, in which he is now alive, just barely, but slowly rotting away, powering something called the Astronomicon, so long as he stays alive.
That's
and
deep.
Fed 1,000 people a day. The Astronomicon is like the North Star. If you want to do interstellar travel in 40k, you need to pass through that demonic warp I mentioned earlier. But how do you know where you're going? Well, the Emperor is there putting a nice little navigator right there. He helps navigate you to know where you're going. If you want to go from Earth to some crazy solar system across the way, you need to go through that warp, and then you need to know where you're going, go through there, and pop your way out. It's like
turn left on Devil's Anus Boulevard, basically.
So you can shorten the distance between going to areas. So long as the Emperor is alive and being fed 1,000 people a day,
But he smells like straight
alive,
ass.
You can do that. The moment he dies,
Everything goes to shit.
Travel's gone for
Yeah.
all of humanity. You're so boned. Now, since the Horus Heresy 10,000 years ago, the Imperium has fallen from grace substantially. All technology has started to dwindle and die. There is now giant fundamental religious extremists that now believe the Emperor of Mankind was a deity, a true living god.
He's basically modern day Zeus,
The Emperor
or future
would want to be
Zeus.
remembered for. So now you have this thing called the Ecclesiarchy, which is this giant church entirely devoted to spreading the good word of the Emperor. He is now the Holy Emperor God, the God Emperor of mankind, and all of the Imperium has taken up worshiping him to the fullest extent and killing anything that isn't
have a space pope
in his name. The Imperium has this futuristic gothic tone to it and a hefty religious zealotry to it.
Is that an astro
If
train?
you think anything against the Emperor, that's heresy and you deserve to die. That is called being a heretic. Heretics die in 40k. There is no such thing as freedom of religion. There is no such thing as freedom of speech, so long as you are against the Emperor. There is no such thing as any kind of tolerance. Everyone
Sounds like the
is a
comment
religious
section of a
zealot.
Japanese
Some
anime
more than
trailer.
Others, but no matter what, you're preaching that good word. So right now, everyone in humanity is trying to expand their empire across the stars. If you are a heretic, someone who doesn't believe in the Emperor, you are deserving of death. If you believe in the Chaos Gods, you are also a heretic and you deserve death. If you are an alien race of any kind, you are a filthy Xenos and you deserve death as well.
Oh my God.
So long as the murder continues and humanity expands, the Imperium of Man is very, very happy. However, the largest fighting
We're
force
assholes.
of this Imperium is my personal favorite faction, and the first faction we will discuss, the Astra Militarum, or also known as the Imperial Guard.
You finished?
Game over, man.
The
Game
Imperial
over.
Guard is the main fighting force of the Imperium, and in a world of horrifying creatures, galactic monstrosities, the literal demons themselves breaking through the fabric of time to kill you, the Imperial Guard are untold billions of regular men and women wearing modern day, like flak armor,
Yeah.
with a laser rifle. This is the humble las gun. The main weapon.
These guys
of
look
the
like they're
Imperial
old school.
Guard. It fires superheated plasma lasers at an extremely fast fire.
Like they're on a Starship
It's reliable,
Trooper level
it
budget.
Jams. It can blow off limbs, giant holes in concrete. It is overall an extremely devastating weapon in modern day. It is one of the weakest in the 40k.
Right.
Yeah, a laser rifle that never jams. It could blow off limbs. One of the weakest weapons. That's the world we're in right now.
Basically.
But who cares? Because the Imperial Guard has, in each battle, 500,000 of these men and women.
Are they enhanced, though?
30,000 large armored tanks, 10,000 artillery batteries. The Imperial Guard wins through sheer numbers and firepower. They kind of have this World War I, World War II style aesthetic with legions of guardsmen as well as high company commanders and generals on the field along with them, and multiple kinds of troops. A normal Imperial Guard battle starts off with artillery, long lines of artillery, cracking the crust of the planet underneath the enemy's feet.
That upper
And
crust.
as this barrage continues, hundreds of thousands of guardsmen, a sea of guardsmen surges forward, firing and charging at everything possible while the planet rumbles as tanks roll up behind them. Gunships block out the sun and tanks block out the
So they don't play, man. They show up hard.
of
Pause.
millions of guardsmen. It is through
They pull
numbers
all the way
and
up.
sheer sundering firepower. They are the first and last line of defense for the Imperium and make up a huge bulk of the battles. The Imperial Guard is also made up of tons of different kinds of regiments. The Catachin Jungle Fighters,
Damn.
the Death World, that's more hospitable than almost any firefight they'll ever get.
We got soldiers that look
they
like Jason
have this
Statham out there.
Steroid-looking, giant knife, Rambo,
Right?
Predator-looking sons of bitches, where nothing is anywhere near as scary as a simple knight on their home planet. You have the Valhallan winter soldiers who haven't felt their toes in 300
Basically
years.
like some
The
kind of Russian
Morian Iron
soldiers.
Guard who are more interested in making their shoes shine than actually fighting a battle. And
The
then, of
bougie
course,
soldiers.
the Cadians from Cadia.
It's like a giant butt
Biggest
crack.
export of guardsmen in the entirety of the Imperium. You will fire your first gun at 5. You will disassemble and reassemble it at 10. You will have pounding artillery drills day in and day out at 15. And you'll fight your first Swarm Lord at 16. And if you mention Cadia, you will burst into an unrelenting amount of tears and sadness like I do daily. To
Why?
quote, I have at my command an entire battle group of the Imperial Guard. 50 regiments, including specialized drop troops, stealthers, mechanized formations, armored companies, combat engineers, and mobile artillery. Over 500,000 fighting men and 30,000 tanks and artillery pieces are mine to command. Emperor, show mercy to the fool that stands against me, for I shall not. The Imperial Guard are my personal favorite faction in 40k.
I can
They're
see
the
why.
one I collect the most, the ones I enjoy playing the most, and the one I enjoy in the lore sense a lot. There's something about just a regular man with a laser rifle being told to charge the horrors of this universe and willingly doing so.
They're the
for his
definitive
God.
underdogs.
It's just poetic. They
Very.
actually represent the main Imperial Guard.
Look at them, they look like little
Large
militant
amounts of
nuggets.
artillery that
It's
doesn't
like
require
metal
a line of
slug up in
sight,
space.
Lots of tanks, tons of infantry, drop troops, and gunships. Overall, they're pretty similar to how they sound, though a little bit expensive to collect, unfortunately.
Really?
And they don't hit a lot. They have a bit of a bad aim, but you don't really care because you're just drowning them in shots.
So we're wasting all our money on
for more accurate
stormtroopers.
fire and specialization, we can move on to talk
A-team.
about Space Marines.
Spiff? What? The Angels of
The
Death.
Angels of Death are up next. Space Marines are genetically engineered super soldiers.
Oh, these guys. This is what I've been waiting to hear about.
Organs, their skin tissue is toughened.
They're
their
extra
bones
tall.
are stronger. They're taller than the average person. They're pretty massive people. And
Thick
these
boys.
are the specialized super soldiers that carry out a lot of the more specific tasks for the Imperium. And there's tons of legions of them.
Wow.
In fact, there's one per Primarch. Each Primarch, the Emperor's son,
It's like multicolored M&M armors.
Their legion of Space Marines. The genetic upgrade they get is based on the genes of said Primarch. It's something called a gene seed. That's
Gene
what
seed.
brings them up to this like superhuman level. As stated, each Primarch has their own legion. Robot Girly Man has the Ultramarines. Jagatai Khan has the White Scars.
Ooh.
Dorn has the Imperial Fists.
Honey mustard.
Thorax has the Raven Guard. There's a
Wolverine.
whole bunch of other side sections that are also extremely interesting and have a little bit more of a twist on the average Space Marines, which we will discuss in a bit. Humorously enough, I don't have a whole lot to say about Space Marines. They're superhumanly fast. In fact, it's been
What
said
more is there
that
to say?
nothing that large should move that quick.
It
These
shouldn't.
men in power armor moving at blazing fast speeds. Their reflexes are faster. Their skin is tougher. They are
Unless you're
overall
LeBron
extremely
James.
powerful soldiers. In fact, where they differ comes down to which Space Marine Legion we're talking about. For instance,
Wow.
the Ultramarines done by Robot Gilliman, are the
Gilligan's
main
Island?
boys. Strong in almost every way, the jack of all trades kind of group that are a little bit too strong, and that's a lore problem, but
That's an in-game cutscene. It looks pretty good.
Jagatai Khan are all about speed freaks, go fast. We're talking attack bikes, we're talking land speeders. You want to go in quick, you want to hit them
Sheesh.
hard, you want them to be swarming around like buzzflies. Buzz.
Can you imagine how much the ground shakes with that many fucking soldiers of that size? Buzz.
Fuck you, Pale King. Salamanders love fire. Fire in the forge, fire in battle. Flamers, melta-guns, multi-meltas. Just so long as something can be burning, that's big. And they're also actually some of the nicest of the Space Marines. A lot of Space Marines have this kind of like holier-than-thou thing because of their genetic strength. However, the Salamanders tend to put human lives above the lives of themselves, which is actually rather rare. They're also all black, but not like just regular black, like 2 a.m. line at a White Castle.
Like Wesley Snipes
They have
black.
Charcoal.
Nestle
dark,
Snipes.
ashy exterior.
Yeah.
And blazing red eyes. Apparently something about living on their home planet of Nocturne, which
Like Space
I don't know if that
Debo.
makes much sense, but who cares? This is like
That's my bike pump.
anyway. Overall, Salamanders are actually one of my personal favorite legions because they're just really cool. They're fun to play as because of all their flamer weapons, and they have a nice, like, more heartwarming lore as opposed to being super evil like everyone else is. Oh my god, we're not even a quarter of the way through the Space Marine legions. Imperial Fists believe in the power of the siege and defensive positions. Raven Guards, master of stealth and sabotage while having bird helmets. Iron Hands, masters of machines and vehicles while being really goddamn good at being sold on eBay after one nerf.
Part-time
Space Wolves,
welders.
Vikings and wolves and tons of wolves and axes, battle axes, fur everywhere. Space wolves, so angry, big teeth, blood angels, the genetic defect to make them want to drink blood and go crazy, called
What?
the red thirst.
Oh,
they have
Lord.
Cupid wings and stuff, which is a little bit strange, and they are all super gay for Sanguinius. Dark angels are
What is
old school
Sanguinius?
knights and inner circle.
That sounds like a fancy hors d'oeuvre.
You a
Redacted.
heretic.
Me? No, never. Once in a blue moon.
Wait a minute, what did he say?
Knights and all super theme and yes. Dark angels are old school knights and inner circle theme and
Inner circle.
Are you a heretic?
Me? No, never. Once in a blue moon.
Death Watch, a fancy pantsy anti-Xenos group that nobody plays because Death Watch and they look cool though, but no one plays them. I don't know.
Oh, I wonder why. They do look cool.
Black Templars, for the people who, if you haven't prayed at least 3 times a day, you're going to start praying out that airlock. And I'm sure there's some other chapters I may have missed as well, like Crimson Fists and stuff, but those are the main ones right here. Here, quote, from the Emperor himself. They shall be my finest warriors, these men who give of themselves to me. Like clay I shall mold them, and in the furnace of war I shall forge them. They shall be of iron will and steely sinew. In great armor I shall clad them, and with the mightiest weapons shall they be armed. They will be untouched by plague or disease, no sickness shall blight them. They shall have such tactics, strategy,
Hopefully they got
and machines
ultimate
that
health
no foe
coverage
will
or
best them
something.
in battle. They are my bulwark against the terror. They are my defenders of humanity. They are my space marines, and they shall know no fear. And on the tabletop, they fuck. Oh, they fuck hard. As of making this video, Space Marines are laughably strong. That might change at some point, but overall, Space Marines just have it's like a Swiss Army knife, a tool for anything you need, except it's like a gold-plated.
Right, it's special. It's uber ridiculously
If
strong.
you are actually getting into the tabletop of Warhammer, Space Marines are a great start. Also, whatever gameplay style you have, whether you want to be sit back with long range and heavy weaponry, go fast and run in, or even just full melee, all of these options are totally there for you. Space Marines
It's
are
nice to
super
have
badass.
options, overpowered
Unfortunately,
ones.
it's time we start praying to our new god, the 2011 Honda Civic.
Oh god.
Is it any wonder people are afraid of technology?
Technology!
The 2011 Honda
Adeptus
Civic.
Mechanicus. The Adeptus Mechanicus are a technophile cult on Mars. Now,
Are they
these
psychers too?
people are a little bit weird because they don't actually really believe in the Emperor of Mankind. And you might think, oh, whoa, Berkey, that sounds like some heresy.
Heresy, exactly.
A little bit. They believe in the Emperor. They believe in his power.
They believe in more of
but
a science
they don't
thing.
pray to him. They pray to something called the Omnissiah. And the Omnissiah is this kind of machine god that they believe permeates in all machines.
Hmm.
And if you think, well, wait a minute, they believe in a different god as well? That sounds like super heresy. Well, yes-ish, but they also make all your guns.
Exactly.
And they make all your tanks, and they make everything that you
The fuck is that? Metroplex?
So you can't really tell them to fuck off
Yeah.
because you're not gonna win nothing if you don't got stuff to shoot people with. See, their Omnissiah at least makes sense from their standpoint. They believe it to be a deity that permeates through all machines. Your Honda Civic, your standard bolt gun, your Dune Strider Walker, your giant mechs.
So
your
basically
ships.
OnStar.
Omnissiah is present through all. And the only reason your stuff works is because the machine's spirit in it says it works. If you want your gun to work, your tank to run,
You better believe in that machine spirit.
and I mean full stop. You need to start chanting in high Gothic. You need to burn incense. You need to.
I come
sit
with
on
receipts.
your knees
Looking
and
ass.
pray to that car. You need to rub oil on your robes. And you need to go
Spray WD-40 under your armpits.
Full stop. If you want your damn thing.
I love this. I love this
You
universe.
need to do that.
It is so
They
complex.
are very bizarre, and they actually have a bit of a point because it's obviously working.
Yeah.
If you look at them,
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I don't know how that works. So they obviously know something.
They believe
The
hard.
most notable member of the Adeptus Mechanicus is Magos, whatever, Belisarius Call. Look at this dude. Look at this dude.
Ingenium, is that you?
This is the group we're talking about. These are these weirdos. Here.
Sheesh.
The Omnissian Creed. The credo, Omnissiah. There is no truth in flesh.
Only betrayal.
There is no strength in flesh, only weakness. There is no constancy in flesh, only decay. There is no certainty in flesh, but death. Flesh is weakness, flesh is death. The Omnissiah is the god of the machines, and if you wish to be whole, if you wish to be holy, if you wish
Join
to give
the
unto him, you must saw
Vicinium
down your limbs
Empire.
and remove your organs and replace them with mechanical parts, because that is what he wants.
That's the future.
And that is how you will become enlightened. Hard technophiles mixed with religious extremism.
Boy.
Adeptus Mechanicus.
Mechanicus
Now, for their army
is
side of
off
things,
the chain.
they are with the Scutari.
They are
The Scutari
hardcore.
operate with very bizarre weaponry and lots of different kinds of vehicles, tanks, and different people in between. They're very weird, but they have extremely wacky and enjoyable, and in fact quite effective, both in the real game and in the lore, weaponry and gear. Overall, as an army on the tabletop, they're very weird and have a whole bunch of different shenanigans, but if you like kind of that quirky, wacky techno thing, I'd give them a pickup. Hell, they're so paranoid. I gotta keep going. They're so paranoid and crazy. These Dune Striders you see right here, one guy was able to make them work. One guy, and he died. And they're so scared they'll never work again that they keep them on and they never turn them off.
Lord.
And they run around in a circle the whole time until they need them, and then they corral it and they go into battle.
That's hilarious. If they got the energy to do it, why not?
Mechanicus. Now, if you want to talk about faith, though, let's talk about the Sisters.
Oh, Lord.
A simp has fallen for an eagle in Lego City.
Like the Lady Gaga
Sisters
gods.
of Battle of the Adeptus Sororitas, if that's how I pronounce it correctly, is an all-female group of battle sisters going through the
Got that Mrs.
ecclesiarchy
Doubtfire skirt.
of the Imperium. The ecclesiarchy is, of course, the church. This is, imagine a private army of the church, which is scary. And it is. The sisters are an extremely zealotous force, and they take this
They're
to
crazy.
the full extreme.
Yeah, they are
believe in
crazy.
three main things: faith, martyrdom, and fire. Through the bolter, the flamer, and the melta, the Sisters of Battle are extremely potent at taking out chaos and heretics. Mainly heretics, because as they are a fighting section of the ecclesiarchy church, that's the big thing they want to kill. Any form of heretic will face the Emperor's justice through those three main weapons, the bolter, the flamer, and the melta, and they will do so with extreme prejudice.
Oof.
Literally. They are the closest things we have to nuns in space. And
Yeah, I was just gonna say space nuns.
They carry holy fire on their backs. They have holy books and sigils all across their armor. Their main battle tank is
a
a
castle?
fucking pipe organ
Oh.
missile launcher. They have
God
small
damn.
babies that they have removed their brain
Mad
capacity
Max
to make them
Furiosa
little
Road or some
cherubs
shit.
to fly around and give them ammunition.
Fury Road.
They drop churches from low orbit as mini drop pods onto battles. They drop churches into battles, and they blare war hymns and holy
my
music
God.
from their frigates in low atmosphere.
They're like
and
destructive
shower
Jehovah
holy
Witnesses.
water across the battlefield. These
They're
are
doing
the
missionary work.
you are dealing with,
Space
and
missionary
they're
work.
fucking awesome. They can literally stave.
They leave a
off
pamphlet on your door after they kill you.
on the tabletop because their faith is that strong.
Ugh,
Remember the
that's
warp
dedication.
demons from the warp? Well, the warp also manifests in your mind. All of your emotions, negative and positive, go through the warp. It's the immaterium, the place of all things. So if you are
Don't we see that up in the Stardust cutscene?
mentally
Or one of those
strong,
episodes?
you can stave off horrifying demons. And all these girls, not a crack. Not a crack in that mental armor. Now, as much as a meme as they are, and as much as their models look a lot like Ongo Gologlian, yeah, which I can't unsee anymore. I gotta
Like
say,
Edna emote
I
spliced with
love
Whoopi
their
Goldberg?
design. I think they're extremely cool. They're another army that I'm currently collecting. They just released a whole new line of figures very recently.
That looks
and they look
badass.
wonderful.
That looks so cool.
Everything from Celestine, the living, literally undying saint, from the triumph of Saint Catherine, which is literally a funeral procession as a model. Those organ tanks I mentioned earlier. This shit is the most over-the-top badass.
Just when I thought I found my
I love the
favorite.
Warhammer universe.
It's like this one says, "Hold my fucking organs."
Sisters of Battle are so cool. While I'm a guardsman at heart, this is such a cool faction. By Bolter Shell, Flamer Burst, and Melta Blast, the mutant, the heretic, and the traitor alike are cleansed of their sin of existence. So it has been for 5 millennia, so shall it be until the end of time. And speaking of burning demons.
Uh-oh.
I can see.
The Grey Knights.
The Grey Knights are the first army I actually collected back in 7th edition. Grey Knights are a super secretive and much more old school look at power armored knights, except they are all psychers. All of them
Ooh,
have
so
that
they are
crazy
badass.
space magic
Super
magician
badass.
shit. For every 100,000
Pago is Sunfa, man.
one Grey Knight.
You know what it
For every
is.
10,000 Sisters of Battle, there's
Well,
one
Hazanko
Grey
it.
Knight. For every 1,000 Space Marines, there's one Grey Knight. Grey Knights are the strongest of the strong, both in mental will and absolute just strength. These are Space Marines that are all high-level psychers, all of them able to specifically do one goal, and that is kill demons. The Emperor believed that the demons of chaos were the #1 threat to the Imperium, and he probably is right. However, this group is entirely based on doing that through a myriad of tactics. Coming from the planet, or I guess the moon of Titan in the Sol system, the Grey Knights are thrown through extremely rigorous training and are as clear of mind and soul as they possibly can
Ooh,
be.
destructive
Since the demons
Jedis.
of the warp are the warp, and your mind projects to the warp, people can go insane very fast, especially lower level psychers.
But not these
Grey
guys.
Knights need to be able to harness the warp in the presence of demons and stay perfectly sane. One of their characters, one of my favorite characters, is named Castellan Crow. He has a demon blade, the black blade of Mahamahama.
Mahama
And he has to
Jama.
have it on him because it tempts everyone nearby, constantly beckoning them. Use my power, use my strength, suck my penis, whatever the possibility.
Pause, bro.
So he has to
Pause. Suck my hilts.
all the time as this thing whispers to him consistently, and he has to stave it off forever, being alone in his chambers or on the battlefield, because anyone who gets too close to it might be tempted a little too hard. He is that pure.
He's not a simp to the
And all
blade.
the characters in the Grey Knights are basically like that. The only issue is that Grey Knights have a scorched earth policy, more ways than one. If they're fighting demons, demons corrupt and make people crazy. So if I'm a guardsman and I'm fighting demons, Grey
Hey,
Knights arrive.
interspecies
kill the
reviewers.
demons,
That's one of my
I'm
favorites,
a
yo.
risk. And so guess who's not making it out of there?
Yeah.
On the top, they're very strike fast, strike hard kind of people. They teleport all around the place. They are fast strike groups, small amounts of models because they're so dang strong. You only have so many characters, but with it, you get in there, you're very tough, very tanky, you hit really hard, and you try to bounce around the battlefield quickly, but you don't have numbers, and so every dead Grey Knight hits really damn hard. They're fun, though, if you like that kind of fast-striking kind of army. Oh, and also, Caldor Drago is a thing. We're not even going to get into Caldor Drago. All right, that is, oh my goodness gracious. I am the hammer. I am the mail about his fist. I am the spear in his hand. Though we are lost, I am the shield on his arm. I am the flight of his arrows. I am the
This
hammer.
guy does an
I am the
excellent job of
sword. I am the
narrating, too. He
shield.
makes you
I am the
really
soldier at the
invested in
battle
this.
At the end of time. Grey Knights are pretty hardcore. They are as holy as you can get for a Space Marine. If you like Space Marines and you want to, you don't think they're holy enough, you want to be holier?
Yeah.
Grey
I
Knights.
want to be holier.
Now, if you want to be holier and big, let's talk Imperial Knights.
Ooh.
Do you like gigantic
Robots.
the size of homes or medium-sized buildings? Do you want to kill heretics, but you want to kill like 40 of them per turn? Do you want a gigantic old-school knight noble house style of walkers with giant chainsaw arms? Then
I
you got
do.
Imperial Knights.
Sign me
Imperial
up.
Knights, it's not a whole lot to talk about them because they're just gigantic walkers, but they have this old-school like house feel to them. Like literally, like they're a house.
A house.
Each Imperial Knight comes from a house, and each of them act in their own special way. These behemoth
Can they combine?
walkers also destroy almost everything in their path, killing full swaths
God.
of squads in a couple shots,
Sheesh.
stepping on legions of troops. Like these things do not mess around. And they look so cool.
They do.
Imperial Knights and Chaos Knights, actually, for that matter, don't have a whole lot to discuss. They're just super big, heavy walkers, and they look different depending on your house or Chaos God you currently believe in. And overall, these things are just really cool if you want to murder everything in your path. They're the big, scary, big unit of Warhammer, and if you want to collect them, go to town. They make for a great painting project too. Game over back down to earth. Let's talk something about a little bit different, a little more gold.
Golden. The
If
pretentious
Guardsmen
zealot
are regular
Marines.
soldiers, Space Marines are super soldiers. Grey Knights
With
are
the Michael
super
Jackson dangerous
soldiers.
pants
The
or
Adeptus
history.
Custodies are super soldiers cubed. The Adeptus Custodies are the third major army I own. I know, 3 armies. I know, I got carried away, okay, but that's all. I only have 3, okay?
All right. I'm gonna hold you to that.
They are our final brand of Space Marines, but these ones are super special.
They're like that cocaine, boy. They got that perfect pinch
Space
of...
Marine is 7 feet. A Custodian is 8 feet. These are the giant defenders of Holy Terra, which is also Earth. Earth is Terra. Earth, Terra.
Unaltered cocaina.
These are the people that literally guard the Emperor's throne room, hence Custodies. These boys protect the Emperor's throne room at all times and are literally like handcrafted people. They're
Wow.
not humans brought up by a gene.
So
theory.
basically like the
These are
Sovereign from Guardians of the Galaxy.
handcrafted super soldiers. I think from a tube. These behemoth of men are like 8 feet, 8.5 feet tall, and functionally immortal. They stand still, spear in hand, for hundreds of years without the need to sleep and barely even the need to eat,
Wow.
watching over the throne room and every other area of Holy Terra for their entire purpose in life. And oh my lord, are they terrifying. These Custodians put Space Marines to shame. If you like,
I see what you're doing there, boy. You got that
super mega soldier,
that Cinder theme playing in the background.
take on probably 3 Space Marines and most likely win. There are many different groups of Custodians as well, like the Solar Watch, or there's also one of my personal favorite, the Aquilin Shield. The Aquilin Shield go out
Look at his gun.
seemingly unimportant individuals
Gun
and protect
axe.
them because they believe that they are going to be doing something very important in their lives. For instance, let's say a regular guardsman gets the protection of this giant 8.5 foot tall golden god because that guardsman will end up becoming a general one day or something of that nature.
Cool.
The Custodians work in mysterious ways and are almost always outnumbered but never outmatched. These people are pretty horrifying, both on the tabletop as well as in the lore. There are very few of them, however, and there's actually an extremely
Really?
small amount of them. But that's kind of the point.
Probably costs a lot of money to
So
make them
many people
motherfuckers.
that have war gear this strong, weapons this powerful, and training this good.
Yeah.
Custodians have all 3 of it. For 100 years, I stood my watch amidst the somber shadows of the Sanctum Imperialis. I was still as a statue, but always ready. Always attuned to dangers unseen. Days,
Never lacking.
months, years passed
Never.
by in a frenzied blur beyond those walls, yet within little moved and nothing changed. For 100 years I did not but wait, yet had any threat appeared I would have struck it down in a heartbeat. For 100 years I stood my watch, and as it ends I can tell you this: patience is a weapon. The Custodians are the top dogs of the Imperium,
Boy.
and they hurt just that same way. Though I do want to discuss a little bit about the Sisters of Silence before we get out of here, because the Sisters of Silence I also have a few of, and they're really fun, but they don't get enough attention.
Like
These
Dora Milaje.
kind of bald plume ladies are a whole group of pariahs. Or
Don't you touch my breastplate.
referring to them as blanks from now on.
I like how she doing
as
that.
every
Like, don't you
mind
do
is
it,
somewhat
bitch.
Connected to the warp, these blanks are a genetic mutation that has it suppressed heavily. Because of that mind suppression, normal people feel this weird, like, uncomfortable nature when around them. When a Sister of Silence walks past them, you feel ill. You feel just uncomfortable and strange. So most of them don't actually live past childhood, because once they are birthed, they're, well, you know,
Unstable?
killed or
Oh.
something at a very young age, because they just emit a
This negative
horrifying
energy.
aura. These ladies, however, are guardians of the throne as well for more psychic threats. See, none of the Custodians are psychers, so they have a difficult time dealing with major demons and other kinds of psychic phenomena. These sisters are extremely specialized in it, all of them taking a vow of silence as they don't speak, hence the term Sisters of Silence, but they communicate through hand gestures and things of that
Hello,
nature.
darkness,
So
my
if there's a
old
demon
bitch.
issue, if there's any kind of warp-based problem, the sisters are extremely adept at dealing with them, thanks to their blank gene. They normally work a lot of time with the custodians because they have to deal with both kinds of threats, but they're not represented that way on the tabletop. In fact, they only have like one real model for them, which is very unfortunate. I hope they'll get some like news soon because I think they should really be working together as it is that way in the lore. But
Yeah.
hopefully we'll get there soon.
They look
But
cool.
talking about blanks, let's talk assassins.
The fuck G.I. Joe Extreme shit is this? Is that Snake Eyes over there? And fucking Gray
We're
Fox?
about to round it out. We got this and one more human thing, and then we're done. The assassins, though, the Officio Assasinorum. Oh boy, these people are deadly. Yeah, they're called assassins. They should be, but oh man, these people will mess you up.
I wouldn't be surprised if they had their own
these are
comic book.
From the Officio Assasinorum, a very special organization, and they are handpicked by the Grand Master of the Officio Assasinorum from the what was it called? Schola Progenium. It's basically an
Progenium.
orphan school. Your parents got murdered by demons or something. You get sent to this and you get trained to be whatever. Tempestus Drop Troop, an Inquisitor, maybe even. Maybe you get a blank gene and you get thrown into the Sisters of Silence, or sometimes you just disappear. When you are taken, however, you go to one of 4 temples because the Assassinorum works in the temple style of things. These temples are the Vindicare, Caluxus, Calidus, and Eversor.
Caluxus Bloodamus.
I'm far away. I've been sitting here for 3 weeks.
Ooh.
Poof! The Vindicare Temple is the main sniper-based temple. Gigantic
Wow.
sniper rifles for
It's
all
like a
these
rail
assassins.
gun.
Their whole point is to be able to be in a spot and sit there
For hours.
eye and scope for weeks.
Weeks.
Waiting for their perfect target. Taking people out from literal miles away after extremely long time periods. The Vindicare Temple is about precise, perfect aim. There have been reports of Vindicares being able to single out particular body parts from over 2-3 miles away. Temples in the head, the jugular, for instance, and been sitting there after weeks. And when they're ready, take that shot,
Boy.
time is done, packs them up. The
Quick
Calidus
draw
Temple,
McGraw.
however, is a lot more about shape-shifting and deviantart. It's mostly
Right.
a female-based one, or at least it seems to be, and this allows a lot of body augmentation for certain individuals to be able to kind of transmorph themselves and infiltrate areas that are problems. These assassins will end up taking missions that take them years, 2-3 years, to infiltrate a heretical group and slowly work their way up.
Boy.
Just to get enough time to put a bullet into the main target's head and then escape unharmed. Or become the main target and sabotage it from within. These are
Ooh.
all completely about deception, mind tricks, polymorphing, and everything in between. And
Yeah.
lots of drawings.
A lot of kahootas and katatas going on right now. Flirtation devices.
Disturbing one. The Eversor Temple is about when you don't want anything to come back alive, friend or foe. You want it all dead. An Eversor is psychogenically conditioned with just psychotherapy and psychological torture to only feel violence, hatred, and anger. It does the Clockwork Orange style of thing of just making you forced to watch never-ending pain and misery and psycho conditioning. I guess is the
Psycho Mantis.
term. And then they pump you full of tons of psychedelic drugs.
Wow.
And they cryo-freeze you. And then they drop you in an area where they just want to make sure everything is dead. And
What?
then defrost full of just all this insane
And fuck up
mind-boggling
everything.
psychotherapy and psychedelic drugs. And you just go to town.
Man, who made this
You don't
motherfucker?
care
Ty
if anyone
McFarlane?
comes back alive. You're like, all right, lost cause. Send him in. Finally, there's the most bizarre temple, the Caluxus Temple.
Caluxus.
Caluxus assassins are feared even among the other temples. So that blank gene, the people will go to
you
the
do it.
Caluxus Temple with this as well. And this is where they can harness that to be massively anti-psyker or even just anti-regular people. They are seen with extreme fear and distrust among many, many people. They are described by the Eldar, by quote, as being pure evil. Imagine that uncomfortable feeling from that blank gene I mentioned, and then imagine them being taught and given equipment to amplify it by 100. If normally regular people feel uncomfortable, now they are basically akin to being a siren wailing directly in your ear. And if you're a psyker, oh no, the sheer presence of a Caluxus assassin is enough for you to tear your skin off. You will rather gouge your eyes out and rip your nails off than even being near this person. The Caluxus assassin is when you want psychers to literally lose their minds, and they will go on their knees.
So this is like crystal meth on steroids.
It is a suitable choice over being anywhere near you. The
Hell
motto
no.
of that temple is that which is unknown and unseen commands the greatest.
Motto of the
Now, for tabletop
Caluxus.
assassins aren't that special. You can call them in no matter what Imperium faction you are, and they do a lot of work for themselves, but at the same time, they're very specialized and require a lot of finesse. And they work the way you generally want them to, though. You want to cause some distortion and weird stuff, you take a Calidus. You want to just murder swaths of infantry and then blow up Eversor. You want to kill that one guy, Vindicare, and if you have a lot of Psychers, Caluxus. It's a nice little, like, jack of all trades if you have a specific thing you want to kill. And you get to choose which is really fun. But now, let's talk about the last human faction. We can round this video out before we do part 2. The Inquisition. We have a lot to talk about with them.
Boy, how far do we have left?
Oh boy. Where do I even begin with the Inquisition? Take every secret police you can think of. The KGB, the Gestapo, the CIA, FBI, any of these kinds of people. And then mark it up by about 10 and give them the most power in the entire Imperium. No, you know what? How about this? This right here, it's not just a quote. This is the Imperial motto, the motto of the Inquisition.
YOLO?
I apologize for my bad pronunciation. Innocentia nihil
Probat.
Innocence proves nothing.
Wow.
The most powerful organization in the Imperium, the secret police, their number one motto is
Innocence proves nothing.
Proves nothing. The Inquisition goes around like the secret police or like detectives to find issues in the Imperium.
Looks like somebody from Gungrave.
Depending on which one we're talking about. The Ordo Hereticus. The
Like
Ordo
Helsing or
Theos,
something.
The Ordo Malleus, for instance, and a whole bunch of other ones. Hereticus is obvious. They deal with heretics. Xenos tries to find alien threats, and Malleus is demons. They all have different specializations in what they're trying to go for as this Inquisitor. And that's what they're called, Inquisitors. Each of them, as an Inquisitor, has their own free reign to do as they wish. They may have a ship and a crew, and they go out to find problems and interrogate people a lot.
Wow.
They are above the law in every department over Space Marines. Now, the Space Marines might argue against them and stuff, and there might be a lot of blowback, but technically they are above them as Inquisitors. They are looking to investigate and figure out coups and cults and demonic incursions.
It's one badass chopper keeper you got there.
Like gene stealers or a new threat coming into an area. They're about learning that stuff and actually doing detective work. And memes aside, they're pretty good at it. The Inquisition having all of this power does make them a little bit power hungry and frantic sometimes. And yes, it is still a bad thing, but most of them are pretty good at their job. And they spend a lot of time being very diligent to make sure that all of these leads they follow are proper and correct. They're basically space detectives with just enormous power.
Yeah, they got too much power.
Complex. And we haven't even talked about Exterminatus yet. Exterminatus is deeming a planet unfit to be saved. I deem that this planet is demon infested and taking it back will cost too many resources and is not worth it. I have now committed Exterminatus on this planet. I will now sign the death warrant of an entire Imperium
Just
planet
beam that
that is
motherfucker out of existence.
and better to be destroyed than allow the enemy to hold it. This can mean saturation bombardment. This can mean cracking the planet's core and breaking it apart. Doesn't matter. Render this planet inhospitable to all life.
Boy.
Yes, the innocence proves nothing people are the only people who can choose this planet must die.
Everybody is so fucking batshit crazy in this universe, and I love it.
You're playing the villain.
They are just zealots to the extreme.
But most Inquisitors are very rare to do Exterminatus. Exterminatus is a very crazy thing. There's only so many worlds that you don't want to destroy all of them. And naturally, with the memes aside, there are some people who are a little bit rough on this one. But most Inquisitors generally don't like to do Exterminatus.
We can be doing Order 66 any and everywhere.
It's a crazy option when you think about it. Secret Police Inquisition are unfortunately not represented on the tabletop very much. You generally kind of put one in your army if you feel like it. You have a couple special options there and some side content, but they're not really fleshed out very well, and personally they need a lot more stuff put in there, and they really need a lot more effort put into them. They're not quite where I want them to be. Overall, the Inquisition makes for a lot of the best storytelling as well, because it's a little bit hard to talk about a big story of a whole bunch of Space Marines killing something. Right? It's just a big battle story. It's not as interesting. Having that intrigue and that moral dilemma that an Inquisitor has makes for a lot better media. And honestly, the more people do it, I think it's better, because then it adds a little more humanity to the Warhammer horrible, horrible grimdarkness. And wow, we just finished the humans.
That was a lot.
Come back for part 2 when we talk about Chaos and Xenos, because we got to talk about the 4 Chaos Gods and all the Chaos Marine Legions and the Tau and the Necrons and the Orcs, and oh boy, we got a lot. I'll see you in part 2.
That was excellent. That was great, man. This dude really had me invested in all this stuff. And to think we're just in the human side of things. This is not like accounting all the other crazy shit out there with these extraterrestrial things that deserve to rightfully kill the humans that are just being these xenophobe assholes. But man, this is just amazing, man. This is really good. Like, I really don't even know what to say, but like, it kind of just seems like this perfect meld of different philosophies and a mixture of like maybe like Greek and Norse mythologies kind of molded into its own thing, you know, like, because we're in a distant future where everything is just gone awry. Humanity is on its last leg. It's not that big top dog anymore that it used to be, but it still finds a way to try to pillage and take stuff from all these other places that just want to live in peace, I guess. But now, you know, peace is not an option because everything is just so fucked. And, you know, now that this god, you know, this super psyker god, you know, the OG who was calling all the shots, is nothing more than this corpse that demands all these souls. It seems like everybody says it's free real estate. It's time to go ahead and try to become the superior race or the superior nation and do our thug thizzle, if you shizzle. You know what I'm bizzle. Yeah, man, I'm very much invested in this. Like, I can't get enough of it. Like, the way Bricky breaks things down in a way that seems like that friend that you'll meet at GameStop, or one of those friends that you discovers that plays video games while y'all sitting at lunch, and you ask him about the world of Warhammer 40k, and they break it down in a way to where it's just like back and forth shooting the shit, but he makes it sound all the more interesting because of how ridiculous the world is, and how certain characters are just insanely powerful for the sake of being powerful. He kind of reminds me of that one friend that I would just talk to at lunch after I discovered that he plays video games, and he really has this admiration for this property, which is Warhammer 40k, man. So shout outs to him. If I were to pick a faction, I wouldn't even know where to start, because it seems like every time I think I have that one faction that I really love and I'm invested in, it's like they just say, hey man, hold this Bible. I'm gonna just bring in all these other different belief systems that I have. I will say, like, I think the Adeptus Mechanicus, they were very cool because they had a very cool, like, backstory that kind of stands out of the pack. You know, it's kind of like this outlier, because that's what they essentially are. They are the outliers, you know. Like, usually if somebody goes against the Imperium and their belief system, they're considered heretics. But when you have a group that basically makes up a large percent of the weapon industry or the technology industry at large, they're the ones that are actually producing all these different things to get the job done. What are you going to do to them? Are you just going to touch them? You're going to turn them off? You're going to tell them to fuck off, you walking Duracell battery crazy mofo, or you're just gonna let them do their thing, man. I like that. I really, really like that, and I like their belief system because it kind of makes sense. Like if we're in the future and certain things are just dying off left and right, and we know that technology is the only thing that's being able to sustain itself without like all the different impurities that the normal fleshly body meat sack would have, why not just go for those techno upgrades? It seems like that's where we're already headed anyway with all this different AI bullshit. So yeah, these guys are definitely like in a league of their own. Very like, I want to say cyberpunkish or Ghost in the Shell-ish, where, you know, cybernetics, they're the go-to thing, and that's what they believe in. And I love how it still maintains that spiritual aspect of it too, where this isn't just this item or this object that we're utilizing to become one of the most efficient factions. It's a belief system, you know? You have to pray to your weapon in order for it to work efficiently. Come on, man. You can't go wrong with that. And then you have some of these other characters. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's like when I saw them, like the what do they call these people? The Assasinorum. These guys definitely put me in the mind of something that I would have really loved in the 90s. Like if you grew up in the 90s, you know that the comic books were at their highest. They were at their peak during the 90s. And we had this group like the Image comic guys, which consisted of guys like Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, and Rob Liefeld. And everything was just all about just being edgy and dark, and just had like skulls and stuff everywhere, miscellaneous items like pockets and stuff like that. That's what the Assasinorum reminds me of. You know, they look like they would fit well within the 90s. And I like how they're just like these crazy ass mofos that just get tormented and conflicted just so they can do more damage, you know. Just having your mind pumped with all these crazy things and just put in cryogenic stasis and just dropped on a planet just to just cause all kinds of crazy chaos and destruction. That's that, boy. Oh, I cannot wait for part 2. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this reaction. And if you would do me the biggest favor, we're going to try to reach the threshold of 1,000 likes. I'm going to make that a threshold that we're going to reach. I was kind of like, I would like, luckily I was just very adamant about watching something else pertaining to Warhammer, because the universe is very interesting and it's very vast. So even though we haven't reached 1,000K on those, I was just like, go ahead, let's just go ahead and jump into some more, because I can't wait for you mofos to just keep on pressing that like button. But this time we're gonna kind of dial it back and jump into some other things, and I'm gonna wait for you guys to, you know, do what you got to do and like the video. It doesn't have to be a thumbs up, it can be a thumbs down. Any feedback's good feedback and will only help me improve on this channel. But just rate the video, guys. Do that for your boy, so we can get some more Warhammer 40k content in a timely manner. But anyways, this is your boy RBG, aka the Random Black Gamer. If there's anything that I may have missed or got misconstrued while watching this reaction, be sure to comment in the comment section below, without spoiling me on other details that I may want to find out for myself. But yeah, we ain't seen the reactions. I'll catch you guys on the next reaction to Every Single Warhammer 40k faction in a nutshell. Peace.